What's going on, guys? Alec here from Oz Fury Gaming. Today I'm here to talk about the Drake Buccaneer and what I think is going to be the best armament for the vessel in the PU. And thanks to Renegade Squadron, we have the details to really delve deep into this vessel's attributes. Now, what I like to run is a Bearing C-788 ballistic cannon. It's like a big sniper rifle. A huge shell for long range, or even up close as a bit of a shotgun or no scope, followed by a set of CF-22-7 Panther repeaters out on those wingtips. The Panthers carry the highest DPM or DPS across the 120-second mark, but the Mantises are faster. But we'll talk about that a bit later. And for the size 1 guns out on the wingtips there, I like to run Sucker Punch distortion cannons. These things have the highest DPS by all the size 1 guns, according to the stats, but also are designed to tear shields apart, which I think really comes in handy when you're trying to hit hard and hit fast. So as we can see against this Aurora here, he's going to be having a hard time in a second as we just line him up and clean him up with that ballistic cannon. The reason why I like this arrangement is not just because it has the highest DPS in my opinion, or most usable DPS I should say, but the ballistic cannon will distort enemy flight patterns when they're unshielded. So Auroras, Gladiuses, Sabres, all those sort of ships will be having a hard time, or if it does impact on a larger ship such as a Freelancer, a Cutlass, Andromeda, it will hit hard and do a fair bit of damage. So as we can see here, guys, we definitely have no issues taking out all sorts of vessels. We have an M50 after us here, and once you line him up with that ballistic cannon, you really just end him. Now the Panthers make for a great carpet or just a blanket damage, so you can sort of keep throwing it out there. Nearly black out, but thanks to G-Safe I keep myself in the game. And so when you're trying to track a target, you can't quite get the ballistic cannon to hit. You can, whittle away at your target slowly but surely. But saying that though, the Panther repeaters do shoot quite well. Have a good distance to it, nearly 2,500 meter range, and also the dispersion's not that bad. So as we enter into this Cutlass scene here, I had a bit of trouble actually recording Cutlass scenes because I kept sort of being a bit too agile for them. And that is one attribute of the Buccaneer that you've got to take into account, guys, when you're flying this thing. Don't expect it to be a Hornet or a Sabre where you can sort of take a fair bit of hit. This thing is a glass cannon, so you've got to be ducking, strafing, hiding behind asteroids, doing everything you can to not get hit by missiles, by a larger array of guns or firepower, or just simply being out-tanked by the amount of health other ships will have. Now, it has the highest afterburner speed and standard SCM speed as well. 705 meters per second is that afterburner speed, and those big engines really get you there quite quickly too. So that's one thing also to keep in the back of your mind there when you're chasing guys down, not to be holding that afterburner key too much. So as we hit this Ringo guy here, we'll start to rack up some decent damage now, and we end his life. Now we move on to the Panther versus Mantis argument. The Mantis has better DPS up until that 120-second mark, and for me, I think the Panther just has better usable DPS. Here we have the Bulldog repeaters. You could use this instead of the Sucker Punch. It will have a better reticle for aiming when you're running the Panther repeater, for example. And here we have the Gatling gun versus the ballistic cannon to see the DPS difference. The ballistic cannon, you do lose a lot of DPS if you miss a shell, but when you do hit, it's a bigger hit all round. So basically, it's all about usable DPS here, guys. Right? Because you are moving so fast, in my opinion, you really need to keep up with your opponent by doing short but high damage and accurate bursts. As we can see here, and I'm trying to follow this guy around, it's not really working. Now, you probably could have the argument of saying, well, why don't you just sit there and not fly around, but any good pilot will tell you that sitting in open space is a sure way to die. So, for the missiles, I'm running the same here on both, which is the stock missiles, which are Rattlers. So there's 4 of those, 2 on a wing. Now the Rattlers fast lock on very well, and have a decent range to go with them. So back to the guns. Now, the other reason why I dislike this setup, guys, is all ballistic, except for the Sucker Punches, obviously. But you can't be relying on those size 1 Sucker Punches to be killing targets for you. So this would work for, say, escort ship instead of an interdiction ship like this vessel was actually pinned as. So if you've got a carrier that you can go back and get refueled from, or if you're living close to a hub, then sure, this would work well as a bounty hunting ship if you're just hunting down a single target. I don't know how you go really against bigger vessels. Against the cutlasses and vanguards, I did struggle too, trying to keep the DPS on them. So guys, all in all, you get hot with the Gatling gun as well, and the mantises. So end of the day, it's what you want to choose, but I would highly recommend the initial startup, which is the Panther, the ballistic cannon, and those sucker punches. I hope you enjoyed the short video and you got enough out of it. I hope to catch you guys around in the verse. Leave a like and a comment if you want to talk about this stuff, or dislike if you didn't like the video, and also guys, just leave a subscribe if you enjoyed it all. Toodaloo.